ribbit, my first grade friends. Today is Wednesday, April the 21st of 2021. And we have got some science to study today. What do you think we're working on? We will record more examples of interdependence in living organisms. Remember that yellow word, interdependence. What does my frog depend on to survive? If he doesn't have it, he will die. What does a frog need? Air to breathe. What's he going to eat with his tongue? Flies to catch and eat. Water to drink. And maybe a shelter, a place to live. Where does a frog live? That's what we'll be focused on today. How? We will read about life in a pond to create our own pond food chain in Google Slides. Now you know where a frog lives. Say that P word with me, please. Pond. A pond. Have you ever been to a pond? Yes or no? Do you know what a pond is? Don't worry, I have a book on BookFlix that will show us lots of good information about a pond so that you'll be ready to create a food chain, who eats who, in the pond, in a Google slide today. Why are we studying the pond? We will understand the transfer of energy in a food chain. Who's getting energy from who in that pond? Today you have to show me, where's the energy going from where to where? But first, let's take a good look at life in a pond on BookFlix. Have you ever used BookFlix before? You like this website? When you come here and you have your book already chosen, ready to read, you can click these arrows to make the screen larger. Before we get started, take a look. Life in a pond, what do you see? Quack. Ducks. Ducks live in ponds. What do ducks eat? Let's find
out. This is a lake. It's big and it's deep.
We're not studying lakes today, but you might get ponds and lakes confused. This is a what? Lake. It's big and it's deep. Have you ever been to a lake before? Yes or no?
This is a pond.
Ding, ding, ding.
It's small and it's shallow. Sunlight reaches the bottom of a pond. This allows plants to take root and grow there, all across the pond.
All right, take a look, ladies and gentlemen. We have found our pond. It's like a lake, but it's small and it's shallow. What does shallow mean? Look, it's yellow. Let's click on it. Get out of the way, head. Shallow means?
Shallow, not deep.
Not deep. So if the lake was very deep, the water goes down very far down there, very deep. A pond is not deep. It's shallow. Say that word with me, please. Shallow. What do you prefer when you go swimming? Something shallow like a pond? Or something deep like a lake? Show me what you like. Shallow. I'm a little scared of water. Now, it is good that this pond is shallow because it says the sunlight can reach all the way to
Sunlight reaches the bottom of a pond.
It can get all the way to the bottom. We know a food chain has to begin with the what? The hot, hot sun. So in this pond, if the sun can get all the way to the bottom of the water, that's making lots of things what down there? Grow. And when plants are growing, then we know something else is going to come eat those plants, and we're going to have some food chains. So that's good. Take a look at the plants that we have in this pond. You'll have some plants in your food chain today. Start with the sun. It shines all the way to the bottom of this shallow water, and it's growing these plants. Now we have these tall grassy plants, these floating lily pads. Over there, I think I see some like purple flowers. We call those cattails that have little fuzzy little things at the top. You'll have some plants in your food chain. So far, sun shines on the plants. Good job. What's going to eat the plants? What is this thing?
A pond is a wonderful place to learn about nature. You can see all kinds of life in and around a pond. The smallest pond life is plankton, very tiny plants and animals floating in the water.
Tiny. They said this is tiny, tiny plants and animals floating in the water. Look at this B word. It's called plankton. Say that word, please. Plankton. Hey, I've seen SpongeBob before, and there's someone named Plankton on there. Have you seen that? That creature lives in a pond. Now it's tiny. So we went from the sun to the plants to who's over here eating these plants, these tiny, tiny plankton. You can have plankton in your food chain today. Now, who's going to come eat this plankton? Not a cat. What's going to come? What do you think? Let's go see.
Plant plankton, or algae, sometimes forms a green film on the surface of a pond. Plankton is food for some of the pond's animals.
Where are they at?
And they, in turn, may be eaten by larger animals.
I'm ready for the animals. We're still on the plankton, though. Look at that green stuff. It says plant plankton or algae. Say algae. Algae forms a green film on the surface that's the top of the water. Now, I used to have a pet fish, and it would grow this nasty green stuff on the tank, the fish tank on the aquarium. It's called algae, and you have to clean it if you have a fish tank. But out in nature, you don't have to clean that because something's going to come eat this plankton. I want to know what it's going to be. Are you ready?
Bass, sunfish, and perch are some of the fish you might find in a pond. You might also find shrimp or crayfish or clams.
So many little animals are coming to eat the plankton. We have bass, sunfish, and perch. All three types of fish that are eating all that green stuff. Or we have some shrimp, crayfish, or clams. These are little crustacean creatures that are crawling around the bottom of that pond. Because remember, the sun got all the way to the bottom. So these animals are down in the bottom eating that organism. All right, our food chain. Sun shines on the plants. Who's eating the plants? You have options. Fish, shrimp, crayfish, clams. But who's going to come eat these fish and these shrimp?
Turtles and frogs and snakes and snails often live in or around ponds. Big dragonflies may fly over the pond.
Here come some more creatures. We've got turtles, frogs, snakes, and snails that are going to come eat those fish and those shrimp and the clams. Look at him. He's over here waiting. Or they're also going to eat these dragonflies. So we've got now some insects that are at the pond. Turtles, frogs, snake, some amphibians, some more creepy crawlies. But who else? A larger animal could come. Who could eat a frog? Who could eat a snake? Hi.
Other insects, such as water striders, walk on top of the water.
Ooh, impressive.
Ducks, geese, and swans
Quack.
visit ponds to rest and to feed on floating duckweed.
Okay, it doesn't say that they're eating the frogs. It says they're eating the floating duckweed. So they're eating more plants. But do you think that swans and ducks might eat frogs and snakes? Yeah, I think so. Here's some more insects. We had the dragonflies, and now we have these water striders. Look at them. They've got tricks to walk on water. Any more animals?
Long-legged birds, such as egrets and herons, may wade through a pond.
Look at those legs.
Deer, moose, raccoons, and other mammals come there for water and food.
Everyone needs water and food. Remember those basic needs? So we have these long-legged birds, egrets, and herons that can walk through the water with those long legs. What do you think they're eating? Fish, snakes, frogs. Oh, for sure. Do you think that that bird is going to eat that raccoon? No. But what's that raccoon eating? He's got little hands to grab fish, to catch them, probably frogs too. So these are some of the larger animals that are at the pond, including also deer, moose, and other mammals. Lots of creatures coming to this pond.
One animal, the beaver,
Beaver!
makes its own ponds. Beavers live in underwater homes called lodges.
Say that L word, lodges. Now, kind of like that plant could make its own food using light, this beaver is making its own pond. Look, they're creating this lodge. What did they use to make that lodge? What do you see? What's the materials? Sticks. Yeah, you see them over here. Using those hands and those teeth, getting sticks, cutting sticks, building sticks to make a lodge. And then he can create his own pond. See, they're going to make such a big lodge that they're stopping the water and making smaller ponds. They've got skills. They're like Bob the Builder.
The beavers cut down trees with their sharp teeth.
Look at
Then
them.
they use the trees and mud to make a dam across a stream.
And
A
mud.
deep pond forms behind the dam, deep enough so the beavers can build their homes.
All right, here those Bob the Builders go. They're cutting down trees with their teeth. Now they're stacking all of these logs and sticks across a stream to stop the water. That's called
Dam. Something built to block the flow of water.
So they built it to block the water from flowing on. Have you ever seen one of those in nature before? It was made by a beaver.
Trees, such as willows and cypresses, often grow around ponds. Some kinds of plants float in pond water. Water lilies, like these, can cover a pond with their flat leaves.
Pretty.
They often have pretty flowers.
Here's some plants. The sun is shining and growing these lilies and their flowers. You'll have that in the beginning of your food chain today.
Plants that take root along the shores of a pond include cattails and other reeds, tall grasses, ferns, and pondweeds. Waste material from dead plants and animals sinks to the bottom of a pond. As the waste builds up, the pond becomes more shallow.
So we're staying shallow, but there's nasty stuff down there. Look at all these plants. The duck is flying around and down.
Now the plant life on its shores
That's
can
pretty.
grow closer to the center of the pond. After many years, reeds and grasses may grow all across the pond. The pond has become a marsh,
Marsh.
or it may even dry up completely.
That would be sad. Have you ever been to a pond like this before? Have you seen this? Very, very pretty.
But new ponds are always forming.
Always forming.
Some are made by nature, some by people, and some by beavers.
We saw how the beavers were making them. People, they can dig holes like this and put in, look at these pretty goldfish, to make their own goldfish pond. Or nature creates it. A big storm, a tornado, a hurricane. Something comes in and makes a big hole in the ground. The rain fills it up. Nature can make ponds too. The end. Ta-da!
But new ponds are always...
Pause, girlfriend. It's time for us to get started on our food chains in a pond. We have them in Google Slide. First, let's go over our vocabulary. We are studying a new habitat today. Say this word with me, please. Habitat. The habitat we're studying is not a tree. A pond. We're showing a place where animals and plants live in a pond habitat today. You got to make me a, say it, food chain. They always begin with the sun. You'll have arrows showing the transfer of what? Energy. Say energy, please. Energy. Energy is transferred when we eat our food. That's how we get our energy. We depend. Say that D word, please. Depend. We depend on our food and our water to survive. Say our last word. Survive. Bravo. If we don't have our needs, we will not survive. Please come meet me over on video 2. And let's see your Google Classroom assignment. I've got my tablet to show you just what to do. Let's go.